welcome everybody here, including public viewers. My name is Kelly Rosecrans. I guess we'll just have an around the table self-introduction. Let's begin with Mary.
I'm Mary, city employee.
Matt Heidemann, staff.
Tom Eklund, commission member.
Lee Graff, alderperson.
Tom Realm, alderperson.
Lee Town, commission member.
Dawn DeSorcy, staff.
No, thank you. Okay, we'll start out on our agenda here with approval of the March 18, 2019 meeting minutes. Park and Rec Commission meeting.
Motion to approve.
We have to do Tom DeSorcy sit in.
Oh, okay. We don't have quite have our quorum today, so Tom Realm is an alderman, so we just approve him to sit in today. We have a motion for Tom to become a part of the commission today. By Tom. Second by Lee. For Tom to sit in on this commission meeting as a voting member. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Thanks for being here, Tom. Okay, so.
Jacket?
Might as well.
You want to, There's only one left over there, second. Yes.
Okay, item number 2 here. Let's. Is there an approval for the March 18th meeting minutes?
Motion to approve.
Second.
Second by Tom to approve. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Who's the second one?
Number 3, consider approval of locations and preparation of sites for this for these sculptures. I think everybody has the locations in their packet.
So, give us the story.
So basically, initially, Joe Terry and I went around and looked at some locations and picked them based upon the ground, the levelness of the ground, so that we didn't have to build retaining walls or spend a lot of time in prep work. And then we wanted to have them along a walking path or a high visibility area, and we wanted them out of the way, basically, so that they weren't in the way for other park uses. You know, somebody wants to go down there and throw a ball or frisbee or whatever. And so that's kind of how we came across some of these sites, and then Don mapped these sites out and we submitted them to the mayor, and he added a couple sites in addition to the ones that we had originally picked, and that's how we came up with what's in front of you. I believe there's 7 sites total now. 6 or 7 here. 5, 6.
Yeah,
Yeah, there's 8.
7, 8,
Oh, no.
9, 10.
Yeah.
So the sites that he added, I believe, were on the, if you're familiar with the old Outlook along the river on the west side where the fire department used to pump water from, by the old, by Mead's old house, what is now a museum.
They used to dump snow there too.
Yeah, it was a snow dump site. That's one location on here. And then it looks like,
Another one on Legion, did you mention?
yeah, Ben Hansen, that's by the Y, right across from the Parkview Apartments. The Y and the trail, there's a park bench there. You can see the dot right there. Demetz, there was 2 locations. One is basically in the these, oh, by the way, these photos too are a little misleading because a lot of these were taken before the work was done in these areas. So we just went off of current satellite photos, and a lot of them had not been updated. So,
yeah, this one is near the sculpture of the new shelter.
Yeah, the one dot that you see where it says Henry Demetz Park, that's basically right next to where that shade structure is. So, and then Legion Park, that's in that corner right next to the mural. And then he added an additional location on the other end by that sharp curve in the path there. And then the one in Meads Rapids View Park, there's a power pedestal there on that north end, and it's basically right by that power pedestal.
Actually, that one I think wasn't going to be.
Did he want that one
So because of possible changes in that area. And I thought I sent the updated ones out.
Oh, this has got the old spot. Yeah, on at the top.
Okay, I think that one was out.
Okay.
I can't pull up my,
Rapid view?
let me just double, I don't think I did right.
I guess at this point, I mean, these sites can certainly be modified or moved. It's just for a review at this point, if anybody's got any
So
corrections, additions.
how's it gonna work with, I mean, if somebody has something, I mean, how, do they get to pick, or do we focus on one part before another one, or how's it gonna work?
I think the idea is to base the location on what they have to offer. So if it's something smaller, you know, we can put it in a, the final approval of the spots have to go through us anyways.
So you want approval for these spots, and then once there's art, then it would come back here again, is that what you're saying?
That's how I understand it, is once the sites are selected, then it's up to the park commission to approve or disapprove a certain piece.
Sounds that
Or
way.
was it that?
I think there was a committee that was gonna
But they were still only gonna recommend.
Correct.
Right.
That's how I understand it. It had to go back through for approval after a piece was,
I don't think it does. Consider approval of locations and preparedness of sites for sculptures.
yeah, for the sites. But what I'm saying is the actual piece of art, the way that original contract that we reviewed, what, a month or two ago,
Yeah,
it sounded like every piece had to be reviewed.
we asked and
Yeah.
then come back, I don't remember that.
That's supposed to be.
But now, nobody else says that committee or any of those folks, they don't know about these at this point.
No,
I think so.
to the best of my knowledge, not.
And pull the mead one, I think I accidentally put that in the packet, that was, there was not, okay. Must have been just in the packet.
for whatever reason.
So I think it's.
And the reason that they didn't want that one in there is because of possible future riverfront development. I think that's phase 2 or 3, that there was some work being done in that area, so.
So it's a possibility of 9.
Like, could all
Nine
of us
locations.
probably have if you need.
It could be in the future.
Yeah, we do have
Thank you. Sorry about that.
As far as the preparation of the sites, I don't necessarily know that we would do any prep work until we had,
Until you know what you're gonna get into.
Right.
Yeah.
because basically, the prep work is gonna be minimal. I mean, if we need to pour a pad, as far as I'm concerned, that's kind of where we're at, and whatever little bit
I
of,
think that's why it didn't come back.
yeah.
Yeah. And we would ultimately make the decision as to where the artwork should go, according to the recommendation from the other committee, right?
Yes, because artwork is a pretty broad term. There could be some stuff that, you know, may not be appropriate for a certain space or any space for that matter. You know, I guess we gotta see what they come up with and go from there.
Those sculptures, are they all fastened down? Good and stuff?
I'm gonna
Some of
guess
it's
a
pretty
lot of
close
them
to
are gonna have to be.
the- Some of it's pretty close to the river.
Because if they're heavy and they got any height to them, you're gonna have, you know, a chance of somebody getting hurt or, yeah,
Mhm.
disappearing. So I'm thinking they're gonna have to be anchored, and that's something we gotta work out with them, is they're gonna provide a provision in it to be anchored.
Well, I guess we have to approve the sites, and I mean, to me, the sites look suitable. I think we did a good job picking them up. So, right, and you wanted flat, or you didn't have to do any.
Flat, not in a way, hopefully you can still get around on a mower, and, you know, kind of what we were looking at, is still being able to mow around it, not in the way of the other activities and on flat ground.
And that's certainly something up to the staff, like we just discussed last week. I mean, us as commissioners, that's for the staff to decide.
Well, if you guys are okay with the spots, I think the biggest thing is gonna be the individual approval as they submit things, you know, if they come up with something that's 50 foot long.
Yeah.
Are we gonna pour a pad and paper, you know what I mean? It just, I guess,
Well, I think you gotta be a little careful too, because if I remember right, that art might only be there for a short time.
Correct.
It gets changed out, so
yep,
I don't think you wanna be building a big
no.
pad and then not have something to replace it.
And I apologize for not being caught up on this, but it was my understanding that we were gonna select sites that were challenging for the city.
We talked about that in a hill like
In
and
the
that
hill,
kind of stuff.
some are trouble to mow, or.
Right.
I mean, if this is gonna be on flat ground that we mow through there,
Well,
and now we're creating an issue that we can't get our mowers around it, then I would not be in favor of that.
I think the problem is there's basically two different types of art that were being talked about.
Right.
And one was by Lucas,
Yeah.
and he was talking more statue type stuff
Right.
and little, you know. And then the other one was by Scott Kellogg, and he was talking, referring to more what you're referring to, is stuff in the side of a hill, murals, that type of thing. You know, really two totally different things. So, because the one example he gave at that meeting was this eagle, and that thing had to have been 50 foot, 75 foot. And they talked about putting that, you know, potentially like in the side of the expressway hill or something like that. But that's why I think that stuff needs to be looked at on an individual basis and approved as.
And so far, you haven't identified any of those sites.
No.
That's, I guess, what I'm curious. To me, we would have to identify the troubled sites for maintenance and for mowing and for.
And we need to know what we're dealing with too, you know, I mean, at this point, nobody has submitted anything like that. It's just been examples that they've shown. But yeah, I mean, if somebody comes up with something that's 200 feet long and they want to put it on the side of a hill.
Yeah. But you and Joe, when we looked at examining these sites, you took those things into consideration if it was just a pad, a small pad, right? Is that's
Correct.
what you did to make sure you get around?
This was more looking at some of the stuff that he was talking about as far as small sculptures,
Right.
and, you know, possibly like something like a little totem pole type thing or something like that. We didn't really get into hillsides or, you know, because really to the best of my knowledge, nobody's come forward with a design or a plan for anything like that yet. But I share your concerns with something like that as far as
Yeah, I mean, the idea
maintenance
wasn't-
or.
Right, the idea wasn't we're gonna create an issue. we're
Right.
trying to solve issues.
Right.
So I guess for flat, even for hillside, we had to put some retaining wall block in for a flat curve. I'd still be in favor of that, because it's still a site that we can't do anything with.
Yeah, if you're talking like a angle too much to mow or something, then something like that might be appropriate.
Right, that's,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
I guess and I apologize because I wasn't here last month, but, you know, I guess in my opinion, I'm not worried about the flat spots, because if somebody brings up says I'd like to put this in Devin's Park, well, that's fine, we got tons of flat spots, we can find a spot for it, you know.
Yeah, and that, like I said, that gets back to the criteria we talked about, just so it's not in the way for other events, and so it's somewhere where somebody's actually gonna see it, and where we don't have to spend a bunch of time on the site. That's basically what you're seeing with those dots, is that type of a site, not a
Not the troubled site. Well, with those sites, even though, you know, can it wait till we have that kind of art to put in and then
That's what I would do.
reevaluate where we should put it?
That's what I would do, because you
Because
don't know
what's
what
the
you're
point
gonna
of
get.
paying for it if we don't?
Right, and you don't know what they're
Yeah,
gonna come up
if
with.
we won't have it.
Is it wood, is it,
Yeah.
what is it, and where is it, how big is it?
Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be my thought.
This is what Lucas talked about 2-3 years ago.
Yeah.
4.
Yeah.
2014.
I mean, this isn't new.
No,
It's just something that for whatever reason was brought up.
it died on the
Barely
vine and now it's
talked,
back.
yeah, barely talked about it at a meeting. I know, can't remember if it was even 2 meetings. It might have been, but.
Yeah, that
and
was-
it just
Actually.
kind of disappeared, died off, and,
2015,
you know,
yes.
it's back, but commission's still waiting to
Apparently.
see what something looks like. I mean, that's what I'm getting at. This has been there, it's been in some people's minds that brought this forward. It's been there for years.
Well, like I said, then it's
And
split
we're-
too. You're talking two different, you're talking, the sculptures they originally talked about were small stuff we put on a little pad, and now it's evolved into those plus,
Yeah.
you know.
Supposedly Jim has some of these sculptures in his yard. I have not seen them. I just remember that today.
Yeah.
Well,
I just don't wanna see legislation get in the way of doing something. We do that all the time with city council. We get in our own way because we're worried about the if, ands, and buts, instead of just building something or doing something that's positive for the community. I guess that's all I'm saying. By picking and isolating situations, I mean, maybe it's more appropriate to say when a piece of artwork is brought forward, we will then look at, you know, a site, whether it fits the troubled areas or whether it fits the flat areas, and then go from there, but.
I guess at this point, the way it's written, it says approval of locations and preparation of sites. The preparation part,
I don't think you can.
we're not gonna pre-prep anything.
No.
And as far as those sites, if you guys are okay with those sites, as long as it's the appropriate one going there, I think we're good, right?
Right.
I think we're fine. I mean, if we wouldn't, are you going to go out for much more? I mean,
No.
it's fine. Fine.
They're fine for particular things. If something comes up that doesn't fit in that scope, we can
Address it.
look at something, hills, whatever.
Right.
Well, I can move that we approve these locations, not the preparation.
Okay.
But that's also not the end all. I mean, something else could
Yeah.
come if it made more sense, I guess.
So there's a motion to approval only
Second
these
that.
locations that staff is chosen. Second by Lee. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. Number 4, the updates on phase 1, the updates at the zoo. By the way, our meeting is being held at Helen's house here in the Wisconsin, this municipal zoo, so that's where we're at. Matthew?
Actually, since the last meeting, there's really not a whole lot to update. We met, what, 2 weeks ago, a little over 2 weeks ago? The petting zoo, the siding is done, the fascia's done, the soffit is done. The electrical, the boxes are mounted, the lights are in. We just have to run the wires and get the trench in, waiting for the ground to get soft. So basically, the building is probably 95% done. We still don't know if there'll be a need for ventilators on the roof now that we've enclosed that roof. We're talking about putting some ventilators on the roof. We'll have to see. I think we're gonna do something just to keep some air circulation up there, so. But the one thing we didn't address last time that's come up, and I'm just gonna talk about it now, it's not actually an agenda item, but we had some old canvas roll-up curtains on there that when it got windy, cold, you know, they'd roll them down. Well, they're pretty much shot. And so I'm going up for pricing. This isn't the best picture, but these are used in barns a lot. They've got a little worm drive and you just put a handle in there and you crank the curtains down. And we're looking at curtaining off the other 3 sides. That way, you get small animals there early season. We get some really cold nights sometimes, and we've had issues in the past. We've had to have him come in here at night, put heat lamps in or whatever. So I'm looking into a curtain system like that. And once I get some pricing, hopefully we can go ahead with that. And then that should complete that building. There should be nothing, the roof was replaced at the hailstorm. You know, that building should be good to go for quite some time. As far as some of the other pieces of that phase 1 project, MSA has been going back and forth with emails, and we've been supplying them with information in regards to what type of animals are currently being used in that old bear pen, and they're working on some design updates and work on that bear pen. And the trail around the pond, really nothing new on that at this point yet. At some point during this construction season, I think the thought is to try to get that in. So, but the other phase, or other parts of that phase 1, we're waiting for some stuff back now from MSA, and we'll see where we're at for the design of those, the aviary and the old bear pen. But I've got the gate open before we go tonight. If anybody wants to take a walk in there, we'll take a quick walk in there and you can look at what we've done. I don't know if you remember what it looked like before, but it's much better. So.
Good. Any questions on this matter? Okay. Then we'll go to the update on the Aquatic Recreational Center.
Okay, Joe gave me the latest schedule to share with you. So the documents were released to the bidders on March 29th. There's a general contractor pre-bid conference on April 10th. So that's coming up shortly. And then they'll have till the 25th when the bids are due at 2 p.m. And then chances are there's going to be a special finance committee and or city council action after the bids are let or come back, and we'll see where they're at. I'm guessing, you know, who knows? They could be way over, they could be right on. At this point, nobody knows, and so then I imagine that'll be the gist of that meeting, is to discuss where that ends up. And then on the timetable, they've got release notice of award and contracts on May 3rd. So kind of where we're at right now. As far as actual construction phase, the first thing would probably be the track removal, the old running track up there, and that would be scheduled if everything is a go on May 17th for the track removal. So that's the short end of the schedule right now. Of course, and if you go all the way out to the end, the plan is still for a startup and commissioning in May of 2020. Whether that's achievable or not will depend upon what happens on the early part of the schedule. So.
Okay, any questions of Matt on Aquatic Center? Thanks. Thank you, Matt. Okay, number 6, update on East Riverbank and Demons Park improvements.
I think not much. I mean, they did the layout for the fall protection around all of the equipment that was installed in Demons Park. And I think the materials are ordered, and as soon as that's installed, then the fall protection will be put in, and I believe they've decided to go with wood chips on all of it. They were only really required, I think, on the monkey bars on the highest thing, but it would make sense to have it uniform and have it under everything. So, furniture, I think, is ordered.
For Demons?
For Demons.
That has to pass council.
That's go to
Then they
council,
order
yeah.
after the council.
Yeah.
The transfer resolution was okay by finance.
Okay. So in the interim, we threw a couple of aluminum picnic tables down there, so at least there's someplace for people to sit. And And I'm not aware of any other updates as far as the rest of the river part of it goes. The contractor has to come back, obviously. If you've been down there, there's touch-up work to be done and all the, what do you call this, coming off, flying all over the place.
All the straw or something?
Yeah, the, having a mind blank here, but.
Well, that covering.
Yeah, it comes in a roll, they put down, and it's staked, and that all the stakes must have come out, and that stuff was all over the place, so. But I would imagine they're gonna wanna come back here pretty soon and get that done, so they can move on.
Okay, and then that fall protection has got to kind of be touched up every year, I suppose, with wood chips.
Yeah.
Okay, any other questions of Matt on item 6? We'll move along to number 7, update on the Legion Park improvements.
I think we got the final layout of the performance pad done. Ended up going with a semicircle, and I think it's 50-foot diameter, half circle, basically. And outer edge would be, the perimeter would be stamped concrete. And engineering went down there and took some elevations so we'll know how much fill needs to be removed and all that kind of good stuff. And then we should have a final price on that shortly as far as what it's going to take to do that. I believe, Don, maybe you remember the amount of money left in as far as what was raised for that project was like $3,300.
I think that was what was left.
Yeah, so that's not going to cover the performance pad and the power and all that. So that probably will end up coming before the commission, I'm guessing, to take the rest out of outlay, I would guess. But yeah.
I thought it was up to 5,500 was what the city would match.
Yeah, up to 5,500. We did sell, are we at 2 more of the tables down there?
There's one left.
One left. So we've got a table or 2 to install, and we've got the grill has showed, so we'll get that in there too. Hopefully we'll have that stuff in there in the next month and a half or so.
Where's that going on this?
The performance?
Yeah.
If you look right where that bench is, it's right across from that memorial at that point, at that V, centered in the park. If you would take the straight edge of that half circle, it would be about 5-6 feet in back of that memorial bench towards First Street. And then be centered, and then it'd be a 50-foot half circle. And then eventually, the plan is to move that light down there. That's going to be moved more in the area where the picnic tables are. And then they have to add a sub box to that pedestal down there and then run power over by the performance stage so that they can plug in amplifiers or whatever the case may be. But I think that may end up getting phased out depending where we're at expense-wise. So, and time-wise, obviously, time's a factor too.
Okay, any questions of Matt on Legion Park? Looking to move along to the bills, I think shall we? We'll go into staff report.
Yeah,
go to staff. Thanks for doing that, Lee. Mary?
I'm continuing interviewing summer seasonal staff. I've got 2 more interviews set up, so hopefully by the end of next week, I'll have completed my hiring for my seasonal people this summer. T-ball filled up, so I'm currently working on getting all those kids on teams and getting that and coaches all organized and set up. And then hopefully my summer flyer will be completed by the end of this week. I'm hoping to get that done before the Children's Festival and then get it out to the schools. That's all.
Good. Any questions of Mary? Matt?
Obviously, the big thing for streets and parks, we're still in brush pickup mode from the storm damage. Got most of the big stuff picked up now we're going back through and We've got our leaf sweeper out and a couple of skags out, trying to pick up the smaller branches and stuff in the parks and get them ready. Ice rinks shut down for the season. Low board hockey is done, been taken down and stored for the season. We've been doing some trim lists on the streets, preparing for this summer's chip sealing operations. When they run the big tankers through the residential areas, we usually end up having to do some trimming in there so they can get through. Talked about the petting zoo, that's getting pretty close. We did a day's work at the West Side Fire Station. They're having some space issues, and there's one area that at one time was a small museum in there, and we did some demo work in there. That's being converted into office space. And we're also looking at their space needs. There's going to be some things that are going to have to be done over there as far as sleeping arrangements and shower facilities now that we have both female and male firefighters, so that's something that's being worked on. City Hall generator, now we're into the wiring mode, and we're going to get as much of that done as we can before they come for the fire up, because there'll be a period of time when we won't have a backup generator at City Hall for probably 3 days during this process. So we're looking at bringing in an exterior generator and probably running a cable downstairs and hooking up at least what's necessary in the event that something would happen where we would lose power for an extended period of time at City Hall. Got a couple of auctions still in the works right now, getting rid of some surplus equipment. We did get to Whitterfield, got the grandstand net up before the ground unfroze. Got some of the graffiti problems taken care of. Whitterfield entrance, south wall has been repainted. Band shell, we sandblasted the land and stone where that had gotten painted late last year, going into the winter. Got the doors repainted, and also the north concession stand, we got most of the graffiti out of there. The tunnel has to be done yet. The sign shop typically paints that, so hopefully they'll be able to get to that sometime soon. Skate park we're working on, depending what happens with the weather this week. Initially, we were hoping to have it ready to open by Thursday. We'll see what happens with that. And summer help, we've gone through all our interview process. And they're just, at this point, I think it's into background checks and finalizing all that stuff and waiting to hear back from them for acceptance.
There's a few that have accepted already.
So we're gaining on it.
We're getting there.
Yeah. Again, very tight again this year, very tight. So 2 years now in a row where we've been right to the margin as far as numbers, so.
How many do you have on board?
Total of 12.
12 total.
5
Yeah.
in parks.
1 in wastewater, 6 in streets,
Yes, streets.
and 5 in parks. And then 3 LTEs,
1 parks.
1 parks.
Is that 5 that you add to your parks, or is that in addition to your full-time people?
This is summer help.
Yes.
Summer help
In
only.
addition.
So 5.
Yeah. So and typically they'll start anywhere from the 3rd week of May to the middle of June, and then most of them are gone last week of August. But like I said, the one thing that concerned me with the summer help is now, like I said, this is 2 years in a row where the margin was non-existent. So, and they actually stepped it up this year and recruited very hard. I was hoping we'd have better numbers, but it's not there.
Okay.
It's going to be a challenge going forward.
Wish you luck with that. Any other questions of Matt on his report? Otherwise, we'll go back to the bills. Did you get a chance to take a look
Yes,
at
I
them?
did. I'd like to make a motion to approve the bills.
Okay, motion by Lee to approve the bills. Is there a second?
Did anyone have questions on the bills?
You else want to see?
They were packed.
They weren't. Yeah. The biggest item was the zoo animals.
Yeah.
The rental?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just,
Second.
Second by Tom. To approve the bills, all in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. And do we have a motion for adjournment?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Lee. Second by Lee. Lee Drack. To adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Ayes have it. That'll do it. From Kellogg's House at the Wisconsin Rapids Municipal Zoo, thank you, staff and commissioners and all the public viewers as well. Good night.